Good evening. Welcome to Primetime News on MTV Sports. My name is Ravi Gamage.
I'm Stephanie Lazarus. Before we go into your stories in detail, let's take a look at the headlines. Sirasa Shakti Sahanayatra convoys deliver much-needed aid to drought-stricken people. Supplementary medical professionals strike called off. Individuals who enter the court complex with a firearm remanded. UNP-affiliated trade unions level accusations of working committee members. Senior trade union leader Bala Thampo passes away.
And now our lead story tonight. The distribution of aid from the Sirasa Sahanayatra convoy is organized to provide relief for the 2 million people affected by the drought in the country commenced today.
Aid is being distributed throughout the Ampara, Kilinochchi and Polonnaruwa districts.
The Sri Lanka Army and Police too have rendered immeasurable support to this endeavour.
Brigadier Rohana Bandara proved to be a valuable supportive figure in helping the Sahanayatra team coordinate the distribution of aid in Ampara.
The aid convoys were unable to reach their destinations at the scheduled time, but with good reason. People flocked on either side of the route to support this noble endeavour with their contributions. The MTV and MBC media network, instead of stopping with reporting on the plight of the drought-stricken populace who hadn't seen a drop of water in 9 months, organised the Sirasa Shakti Sahanayatra initiative once again, considering it our national responsibility to help those whose need is dire. The response received from the public of Sri Lanka to our invitation to be a part of this initiative was truly overwhelming. From the smallest to the largest donation, everyone who contributed towards the success of this endeavour has the heartfelt gratitude of the MTV and MBC media network and the people who will receive their aid. Following a 33-hour-long journey, interspersed with many stops to pick up contributions from the public along the way, the 25 lorries which made up the first aid convoy reached Ampara. Detachments of the convoy were then sent to the villages of Tamana Uhana and Navindanveli to hand over the aid directly to the hands of those affected by the drought.
The response from the people was just overwhelming for the Sirasa Sahanayatra program. People were lining up on the streets even at 2:30 this morning. It was just simply amazing to see how people were gathering to help their brethren who are affected by the worst drought in many years. The response from the people was just simply amazing. They want to rally around. They want to make a change. And we, as the Sirasa Shakti Sahanayatra, we were able to go to many villages across the Ampara district. I was in the convoy that was heading to the Sorikalamune Divisional Secretariat area. Approximately around 1,200 people in these respective areas were benefited from the drought relief that the people gave. All in all, it was a very successful visit to the drought-affected area of Ampara.
Polonnaruwa is yet another district that suffered greatly due to the drought. Farmers in this area had to face numerous hardships due to the destruction of hundreds of acres of farmland. The Sirasa Shakti Sahanayatra arrived in Polonnaruwa as well today and distributed much needed relief among the communities that had been worst affected.
Relief was distributed among the residents of several parts of the Polonnaruwa district. The Sirasa Shakti Sahanayatra received an overwhelming response from the public because over the years, the general public has continued to place their trust in us. The aim of the Sirasa Shakti Sahanayatra was not to merely provide relief to those who were affected, but also to provide a platform to the whole of Sri Lanka to help their brothers and sisters in their time of need. Our aim was to shine a light on the hardships faced by those affected.
We suffered immeasurably because of the drought, and we are thankful that you have done this. We did not get anything from anyone, and now the Sirasa Shakti Sahana Yatra comes as a blessing.
ශක්ති සහන යාත්‍රාව අපිට පිහිට වුණේ
පුදුම දුකක් විඳින මිනිස්සු ඉන්නේ. ඉතින් ඒ මිනිස්සු වෙනුවෙන් මේ කරපු දේ ගැන අපි කොළඹ ඒ සියලු දෙනාට සිරස ආයතනයටත් ගොඩාක් ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා මැදිරිගිරි ජනතාව වෙනුවෙන්.
This aid convoy, which departed from the MTV MBC head office in Colombo, reached Polonnaruwa via Kurunagala after travelling along the Kandy Road. Members of the public who lined either side of the route made substantial donations to further strengthen the aid convoy.
We've just finished distributing the aid packages consisting of food items like rice and dal and sugar, as well as bottled water. All of these donations came from the citizens of Sri Lanka to the citizens of Sri Lanka, and they were greatly appreciated. I spent a significant amount of time in the crowds distributing these packages, and there was a lot of gratitude among the people who received them. I would also like to thank my colleagues from Sirasa and Shakti. They did a phenomenal effort in organizing all of this. None of this would have happened without the coordinated efforts of Sirasa and Shakti, along with the Divisional Secretariat and the Army in Polonnaruwa. This is Siddharth Kotian reporting from Polonnaruwa.
Many residents of the northern province rely on agriculture to earn a living, and this is the very same group that was severely affected by the drought. The Sirasa Shakti Sahana Yatra convoy carrying much needed aid did not forget the people residing in these areas.
The number of communities that were affected by the drought in the Kilinochchi district received aid today. Relief was distributed among the residents of the Dharmapuram, Punarine and Santapuram areas in Kilinochchi. These communities, who have lost all hope due to the destruction of their paddy lands, gave a warm welcome to Sirasa Shakti Sahana Yatra team carrying aid. We were able to feel their renewed sense of hope after having shared their heartfelt thoughts as a result of this initiative.
இவ்வளவு காலமா எங்களுக்கு ஒரு உதவியும் இல்லை. உள்ள தென்னை எல்லாம் செத்துருச்சு. இங்கே உள்ள சனங்கள் ஏதோ இந்த சக்தி நிறுவனம் இவ்வளவு முன் வந்து எங்களுக்கு செய்யற இதுவரை ஒரு நிறுவனமும் வந்து செய்ய இல்லை. அரசாங்கம் கூட வந்து செய்ய இல்லை. எந்த ஒரு உதவியும் செய்ய இல்லை.
நாங்கள் இப்போ இடம்பெயர்ந்து வந்து குடியேற்றத்துக்குள்ள வந்து சரியான துன்பத்தில் வந்த நாங்கள் அதே மாதிரி இப்போ மழையும் இல்லாமல் குடிநீர் இல்லை. ஒரு குழாய் ஒன்று பொதுவாக அடித்து விட்டாங்க. அதுலேயும் தண்ணி வர இல்லை. வெட்டியாக கஷ்டப்பட்டு கொண்டிருக்கிறோம்.
சுனாமி பாதித்த இயற்கை அழிவு ஏற்பட்ட வேளையிலும் கூட முல்லைத்தீவு பெரும் பகுதிகளை வந்து ஆக்கிரமித்த சூழலிலும் கூட சக்தி டிவி பெரிய நிவாரண பொதிகளை வந்து வடக்கு கிழக்கு மாகாணங்களில் பெரிய அளவில் வழங்கி உதவி செய்தார்கள்.
Every container that came here was full. People have contributed that much aid. The people of Kilinochchi remember the Sahana Yatra from 15 years ago. They now know that such endeavours can be undertaken by the media, and they have accepted our aid with pride. The Sirasa Shakti Sahana Yatra was able to extend the hand of brotherhood to those who were worst affected by these harsh conditions.
The expression of hope, the expectation of something good for their lives. The Sirasa Shakti Sahana Yatra, which commenced on Sunday, reached Kilinochchi early this morning. What you see behind me is not a game played by the children. It is the people who have been affected by the drought, waiting and expecting to be given something that will quench their thirst. The Sahana Yatra program has brought gallons and gallons of water for these people who have been deprived of water for a certain period of time. Rest assured, your donation has exactly reached who it was meant for. These faces say the exact story. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Zulfiq Farzan.
The Sirasa Shakti Sahana Yatra initiative was also praised by the Anunayakas of the Malvathu and Askari chapters of the Siam sect.
සිරස මාධ්‍ය ජාලයෙන් මේ ගෙන යන
While we must express our happiness at the program that is being carried out by the Sirasa Media Network, we pray that they receive the necessary strength, the energy and the aspiration to continue on and successfully conclude this task.
ශක්තිය බලය ධෛර්යය වාසනාව අත්වේවා ලැබේවායි කියලා ආශිංසනය කරනවා.
The Sirasa Media Network has always stood by all of Sri Lanka, the public as a whole, whenever disaster has struck. We are thankful to Sirasa for carrying out this great deed and for including a large number of people in this great deed. As Sri Lankans, we are extremely happy that everyone cast aside differences of race, caste, ethnicity and religion and came forward to help their fellow Sri Lankans. The Mahasangha too have been greatly enthused and support this endeavour.
මේ පිළිබඳව මහා පුණම් දක්වන ගරුතර මහා සංඝයා වහන්සේ
Several spells of showers were experienced in the Ampara and Badula districts recently, providing some respite to the farmers in the area. However, that rains that were experienced have not been sufficient enough to overcome the dire effects of the drought.
With the arrival of the drought, the Madhuroya has dried up, but the hopes of the farmers living in the area were rekindled when rain was experienced in the area. With or without rain, the farmers have begun to cultivate their lands once more. The Madhuru Oya is the main water source for the Padiyatalawe area in the Ampara district as well as the Kadapalla and Aralupitiya area in the Badula district. Showers were experienced in the area recently. Farmers in the area state that even though the rainfall received was insufficient, the mere sight of rain provided a glimmer of hope.
It rained for 2 days. We started ploughing thereafter. Only God knows when it will rain again.
Even though enough water wasn't gathered to engage in farming activities, farmers began to cultivate their lands as they were not able to engage in farming activities for 2 seasons.
We are hoping to start farming again, but we do not know what sort of destruction will come along with this weather.
We cannot be for certain when it will rain again. Until it rains again, we are hoping to continue to cultivate.
The supplementary medical professional strike action at public hospitals across the island was called off completely this afternoon. The decision was reached following talks with the health minister.
The strike, which was initiated last week, was commenced citing 6 demands. The primary demand was appropriate granting of promotions to supplementary medical professionals.
The Minister of Health assured us that the 3 main problems pertaining to promotions to higher grades and approval for working in the private sector would be resolved at the next cabinet meeting. We have expressed our trust that this will be done. We have decided to call off the strike action that was halted temporarily in totality from tomorrow.
The Government Pharmacists Association said problems had arisen with returning to work since the director of the hospital had opened the drug storage during the strike and obtained medications.
We have a legal problem now regarding accounts and inventory. We have informed the director of the Ragama hospital clearly that until the medications are restored to the storage, our pharmacist will not recommence work.
The UN's Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights has announced that Prince Zaid Ra'ad Al Hussein of Jordan assumed his functions as United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights today, following the General Assembly's approval on the 16th of June 2014 of his appointment by the United Nations Secretary General. He will be the 7th individual to lead the OHCHR and the first Asian Muslim and Arab to do so.
A veteran multilateral diplomat, Al Hussein was previously Jordan's permanent representative to the United Nations in New York, a post he held from September 2010 until July 2014, and which he also held from 2000 to 2007. From 2007 to 2010, he was Jordan's ambassador to the United States of America. He served as Jordan's deputy permanent representative to the UN with the rank of ambassador from 1996 to 2000. In January 2014, he was president of the UN Security Council and chaired the Security Council's 1533 and 1521 committees with regard to two sanctions regimes regarding the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Liberia. He replaces the outgoing High Commissioner for Human Rights, Navanithan Pillai.
In related news, at two separate media briefings convened today, Ministers Keheri Rambukwella and Mahinda Samarasinghe expressed the following views on the departure of Navi Pillai and the assumption of duties of the new UN Human Rights Chief.
We always think about everything amicably. We have never acted in a disagreeable fashion. We believe that in this country we level those allegations in the open. At one time we openly challenged the actions of Madam Navanithan Pillai and certain decisions she took. We criticized that activity. There was nothing to hide. But we believed that we saw some level of bias on her part and certain decisions and statements were made by her without having full awareness. We said that this was extremely unfair. We strongly believe that the next person to take up her office will consider all of this and will work from a correct stance.
Minister Mahinda Samarasinghe, who for a time served as the Presidential Special Envoy on Human Rights, expressed these views.
It is pointless for me to express my personal views. When I speak as a cabinet minister, there is a collective responsibility. I must speak on behalf of the government. I am now the plantations minister. The Ministry of External Affairs has taken up the human rights field. So you should ask them.
Justice C.G. Veeramantri, the former Vice President of the International Court of Justice, notes that one of the greatest problems facing the world today is the lack of understanding amongst nations. The 13th Annual Symposium of the Centre for Poverty Analysis, or CEPA, organized in collaboration with the Secure Livelihoods Research Consortium, which was held in Colombo last evening.
A distinguished gathering of intellectuals and academia were present at the occasion of the inauguration of the symposium. The inaugural speakers were Dr. Luca Biong-Teng, former Minister of the Prime Minister's Office in South Sudan, and Justice C.G. Veeramantri, former Supreme Court Justice or former Vice President of the International Court of Justice. The symposium is being held under the theme Post-War Development in Asia and Africa.
So international law is the tool for carving out a better future for humanity, and that tool must not be neglected. In this vast conglomeration of states, there is always the possibility that the big states may try to use their power on the small states in defiance of international law. One of the great problems in the world today is the lack of understanding among nations. This is because of our total ignorance of each other's cultures and religious backgrounds. If we can cure that, there will be better understanding.
First, transforming institutions to become inclusive and democratic during the transition period is critical in laying foundation for the post-conflict countries and to put their economies on the path of growth and stability. Second, despite the impressive economic growth in Africa, there's increased inequality that may be a recipe for recurrent conflict. The real challenge is how to make such growth more inclusive and generating employment, financing infrastructure, and encouraging structural transformation. Thirdly, looking into the past and addressing atrocities committed in the past may be the best way to move into the future and to prevent conflict.
Up next is Action TV. While the call for 6% of the country's GDP to be allocated for education has long since dissipated, on the 20th of this month, the Minister of Higher Education in Parliament made evident a dilemma facing his ministry.
There has been no decline in funds. Funding has increased continuously. Financially, we are strong. We don't consider small sums anymore. We deal with large sums in the billions, or sums like 3,000 or 4,000 million. We have plenty of money, but we don't have a way to spend it.
While it is a great boon if what the minister says about the amounts of money allocated for higher education is true, if the minister is in fact facing a dilemma with regards to how best to spend this money, then that dilemma should be shared by all stakeholders in higher education and not just by the minister and the ministry. Whether or not they are sharing the burden of deciding on how best to spend, down to the last cent, the mountain of public funds which the minister says has been allocated for higher education, it is increasingly evident that the heads of some higher education institutions are wastefully sharing and distributing public funds. The departure of the Vice-Chancellor of the Sri Jayawardhanapura University, who is due for retirement in November, to Japan tomorrow to participate in a training program for Vice-Chancellors is one example of the wasteful sharing that is taking place. This is wasteful because under University Establishment Code, the Vice-Chancellor does not have enough time left in office to serve the country in a manner which justifies the expenditure on the trip to Japan. The upcoming departure of a group from the academic staff of the Sri Jayawardhanapura University to Denmark can be considered an example of the wasteful distribution of public funds. Incidentally, this distribution has taken place in an ad hoc fashion. This is because the group of persons who will participate in the Denmark tour have been selected on the prerogative of the Vice-Chancellor without having been submitted for the consideration of, let alone being screened by the University Board. In similar fashion, the Vice-Chancellor also granted a tour of Malaysia to a group of persons from the non-academic staff. Tomorrow on Action TV, we bring you information on the construction of a wall, another example of the wasteful sharing and distribution of public funds.
Trade unions affiliated to the United National Party levelled allegations against members of its working committee today. Addressing a media briefing held in Colombo, the representatives of the trade unions charged that certain leaders within the party are blocking the United National Party from achieving victory.
I can clearly say that he cannot escape the evidence that the government has against him. He is a hostage. He is being used to destroy the party and spread discord. You are a pawn in this game. Stop sacrificing the innocent people of this country to protect your own interests. There are several members who engage in businesses with the government. They strike deals with the government. They don't want to come into power and serve the public. They want to develop their personal businesses and continue to occupy positions within the party. The people are ready to embark on this journey with Ranil Wickremesinghe. Sajith Premadasa should also join this journey. We can continue to have the hopes of a United National Party government only if both of you go on this journey together.
මම ගෞරවනීය සංඝරත්නයට අපි කවදත් ගෞරව කරනවා. නමුත් ගිරාමේ ආනන්ද නායක හාමුදුරුවෝ
We respect the Venerable Sangha. However, Venerable Girambe Ananda Thero had made a statement yesterday that Sajith Premadasa should be held responsible for this dispute. Honorable Thero, I am very sorry, but we need to speak the truth. Else we will be insulting Buddhism. The Venerable Thero only sees the need to make Karujaya Surya the leader of this party. He is concealing this truth. He has stated that when Sajith Premadasa was appointed as the deputy leader of the party, he rebelled against Ranil Wickremesinghe. However, it was Ranil Wickremesinghe who gave the position of deputy leader to Karujaya Surya even after he crossed over with 17 others and ruined the opportunity to overthrow the government. It was Karujaya Surya who commenced the leadership battle against Ranil Wickremesinghe, and it is the same person who is acting in this manner today. Karujaya Surya is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Stop stabbing the United National Party. Honorable Thero, please do not aid him in his task. We have a right to ask him not to do this and not to disgrace the Buddha Sasana as well as the saffron robe. As UNP members, we are the people who are affected.
පක්ෂේ විනාශ කිරීමට උඩගෙඩි දීලා චීවරයටයි බුද්ධ ශාසනයට අගෞරවය කරන්න එපයි කියන එක ඉල්ලන්න අයිතියක් තියෙනවා. UNP කාර්ය වශයෙන් බැටකන්නේ අපි.
A decision has been reached to change the leadership of the Tamil Arasu Katchi, a main constituent of the Tamil National Alliance. MP Mave Senathiraja has been nominated to hold the position of leader.
The Ilangai Tamil Arasu Katchi is a democratic party. One person cannot hold the same position for an extended period. A decision has been made for a change in leadership in the Ilangai Tamil Arasu Katchi. The current leader has been appointed the leader at many conventions and has held the position for an extended period. Therefore, we have all expressed willingness to appoint a new leader. The party is calling on me to take up the position of leader. We are a party that has been long committed to the aspirations of the Tamil people. I have been asked to take up the position to continue this commitment. This will be confirmed at the party convention on the 6th of this month, and I will assume duties on the 7th.
Still in local news, an investigation has been launched into the death of a child believed to have been committed by the child's mother. The suspect has been taken into police custody.
According to the police, the 29-year-old suspect had assaulted and strangled his 6-year-old daughter. The victim's 7-year-old brother had stated that the child had collapsed on the step of the house after being assaulted.
This child was about 6 years old. This child has been brought to the Lady Ridgeway Hospital yesterday at about 7. They brought the patient's dead body, of course. I mean, about 1.5 hours ago, patient has died before taking her to the hospital. At the moment, the body has been transferred to the police mortuary for post-mortem examination.
The magisterial inquiry into the death took place today, while the post-mortem inquiry was conducted this afternoon. The remains of the child was handed over to the victim's relatives thereafter.
An individual who brought a pistol into the Colombo Magistrates Court premises was arrested by the police today.
The police say that the individual did not have authorization to carry a firearm and had entered the Colombo Magistrates Court premises. The suspect was arrested and produced before court, following which he was remanded until Friday. The police say the suspect had come to court to meet with a lawyer.
Up next is our special segment, Battle for Uva.
They provided free education, but now we have to spend a lot of money on that. Those days there was free healthcare. Now we have to spend a lot of money on this too. Those days the government used to construct reservoirs and tanks, but now they tell us to construct it ourselves. So why do you want to give your votes to them?
Do you know what happened to the Petiagoda tank? Samantha Vidyaratna acted as the deputy minister then. It was my brother, Andrew Vidanagamage, that provided electricity to his house. He was a parliamentarian for 6 years, but it was in 2010-2011 that he was able to get electricity in his house.
Vagabonds are engaging in politics. They have entered parliament, provincial councils and urban councils. All these vagabonds have been elected through the people's vote.
Recently, some of our comrades, who I've been knowing for a long time, told me about some of the foreign liquor shops that provincial councillors own. Do you think they didn't know about this? Weren't these the same people in power when they formed a unity government with Chandrika in 2004?
When the average citizen goes to purchase goods, they have to pay taxes. The government has imposed taxes on everything that you purchase.
We are creating a new generation of SLFPers, not because we want to provide them with weapons and ask them to kill others or burn libraries in universities. We are not here to create a society that kills one another, but to unite the youth and fulfill their expectations.
On this first night, Minister of Plantation Industries Mahinda Samarasinghe says that a certified price for rubber will be introduced in the near future. He notes that the purpose of this measure is to protect local rubber producers who could be adversely affected by a drop in rubber prices owing to the decline in global demand.
Rubber production in the country dipped by 2.6% in the first 5 months of this year, in comparison with the same time frame last year. The Sri Lanka Rubber Development Board notes that the price of a kilogram of rubber, which was about 400 rupees last year, had dipped to 240 rupees by last week. A decision has been made to grant a certified price for rubber. This policy decision has been made for the government to provide the balance regardless of the situation in the market and world prices. We will announce the price shortly. The minister speaking further noted that attention has also been turned towards removing the cess of 4 rupees per kilogram for exported rubber.
One of the most senior trade union leaders in the country, Bala Tempo, the renowned leftist leader, passed away today at the age of 92.
A graduate of the University of Ceylon and the University of London, Bala Tempo commenced his professional life as a lecturer at the Peradeniya Technical College. Tempo was also an attorney at law and a member of the Trotskyist Samasamaja party. His constant struggle for workers' rights led to his removal from public service in June 1947, after he supported a strike action demanding union and political rights for public servants. The tireless campaigner who did not let anything hold him back, including his age, Bala Tempo, as the General Secretary of the Ceylon Mercantile, Industrial and General Workers Union, became an active voice for the voiceless. The legacy of Bala Tempo, who worked relentlessly for the betterment of the lives of people, committing his own life to the cause in true selfless spirit, will not soon fade from the memory of this nation.
මගේ අදහස ඇටියට පරම්පරා තුනකින් බannකොට වඩාම පහළ තත්ත්වයේ දැන් අදයි. බහැලා පසු බහැලා ව්‍යාපාරයක් නැහැ. කෑලි කෑලි දැන් තියෙනවා.
Veteran playwright, teledrama director, scriptwriter and actor Bandula Vithanage passed away today. He was 74 years of age.
Bandula Vithanage, who served as a director of the Tower Hall Theatre Foundation, was renowned for his many translations of the works of Shakespeare. Chief among these translations were Othello, The Merchant of Venice and Hamlet. A director and translator of numerous stage dramas, Vithanage was honoured with state awards for his work. Vithanage also directed several teledramas including Asal Vasio, Buhutumuru and Patra Kedara. He was a loving father of 3 children. The final rites are to be observed at 4:30 p.m. on Thursday at the public cemetery in Borella.
And on to sports news, Australia have dropped 2 spots in the ICC ODI rankings. Sri Lanka, meanwhile, are ranked 4th. Australia had held on to the top spot in the ICC ODI rankings for some time. However, following the historic defeat at the hands of Zimbabwe in Harare yesterday, Australia dropped 2 spots to number 3. India have succeeded in reclaiming the number 1 ranking following good performances in England. South Africa are ranked 2nd, while Sri Lanka are 4th with 11 points. Australia too have 11 points.
Well, that's a wrap of Primetime News at 9. It was a pleasure having you with us. I'm Stephanie Lazarus.
And I'm Ravi Gamage. Good night.